What's up? Happy full moon. It's in Sagittarius. At least it's in a fun sign. At least we're having somewhat of a good time. At least things have somewhat improved. I want to read something to you. So every kind of new moon, full moon, I write a little bit about what's kind of going on my substack, and I film a video. And I think it's good practice to kind of tap into the current. I think as an artist, you need to have some kind of a system to understand your internal space and the external space and walk across the bridge between both, because that's essentially your life's work. And, you know, there's no rush to perfection. There's only practice and a deepening understanding. Your life's work is deepening this relationship between the audience and you, not catering to the audience, but having a conversation with them. So I'm gonna read you something that started off this week's article. I make all my decisions on intuition, but then I must know why I made that decision. I throw a spear into the darkness, that is intuition. Then I must send an army into the darkness to find the spear. That is intellect. Ingmar Bergman, that's who said that. So this is essentially Sagittarius. This is the archer. This is someone who shoots into the abyss and then runs after it to retrieve it. And I think also, let's bring back the year of the fire horse. This is essentially Sagittarius in my eyes. It's a fire sign. You have half horse, half human. You have the intellect, you have the instinct, and it's finding the balance in the conversation between both. As you, as an artist, are finding the conversation and the balance between your audience and yourself. It's, again, split in two, but it's really working with both. We're not separate from the mind. We are separate from the mind, but we are working with the mind and the heart. You can't separate them, or you're not going to be able to function in society. You're going to go insane. And it's also like you are placed into this body with these tools, such as the mind, such as the heart, such as your physical body. Like you don't need to dissociate from them to live a successful and good life. Another thing I want to mention, Sagittarius is the 9th house. So this is essentially the realm of mental exploration. And a lot of people associate Sagittarius with maybe adventure. That could be because you're exploring. But this can also just be on planes of consciousness. This doesn't have to be, you can be going out and seeking out, because this is also how we understand and learn. Sagittarius and Libra are both signs that have something to do with law, but Sagittarius is correlated to moral law, whereas Libra is more like traditional law and kind of like right and wrong. But Sagittarius explores the gray space, understanding the philosophy behind it, understanding what led you up to this moment, understanding the grander, greater cosmic scale, a little bit at least. This is delving into studies that are forbidden or taboo or maybe not conventional, like I said. This is really also coming back to belief, because the 9th house is about religion. So it's like, where do you place your faith? Where do you place your heart? And because on these videos I talk about, what's going on astrologically. This is a full moon. It's the second to first. It's the second to the month of May. We had one at the very beginning of the month. We had a new moon in the middle. Now we have this kind of closing. And I want you to take a step back and kind of observe where you've been to where you are now. And I want you to feel into that kind of the closing that's happening, because we're stepping through the second portal, full moon, and we're leaving things behind that no longer need to be with us, right? As humans, as people, we live forward in time, let's say, if we're not going to get into it. And that means you're growing in age, you're graduating school, you are finding a new job, you are getting married. In my case, I'm moving on to a new chapter of my life pretty soon, finishing my undergrad. And a lot of things are kind of tying together. And so what are you bringing forward with you, and what are you choosing to amplify? These are the prominent questions this full moon, because Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter is expansive. Anything Jupiter touches, it expands. So the question to ask is, if you can make flowers bloom from just running your fingers across the grass, what would you touch? Anything that Jupiter touches, it expands and it amplifies. Your beliefs, your fears, anything, your feelings about people, about yourself. And so it's really important to take a step back and kind of recenter, what do you actually feel about yourself? Are you scared of entering a new phase of your life? Are you scared of leaving things behind? Are you staying in situations that don't serve you? Are you reminiscing on things that hurt you because you are afraid to take a step forward? Are you afraid of your success? Are you afraid of what it means to actually go after the life that you know that you deserve? And it hurts because facing all of this, it brings up discomfort. It brings up inadequacy. And, as humans, we need community. So it's only natural that you don't want to separate yourself from what might not be for you anymore because you're scared of being on your own. And you're not going to be on your own forever, but I think the creative journey is one that's quite lonely. And I had sat across from a friend recently, gone over to his house, and I was like, but do you not get lonely? Like, how do you do it? And he's like, I'm lonely every day. That's part of it, There's not a day where I'm not by myself. We're all by ourselves all the time. But it's through our work, our service, our devotion that we can find other people, that we can find ourselves and not have to sulk in this, I'm alone. You're not alone, dude. You just haven't let yourself accept what is there. That's also important for Jupiter because it amplifies anything it touches. So if you're in here and you're feeling like, I don't have enough, or, I don't feel the love, that's being amplified right now. But instead, if you just observe kind of what's going on in your body right now and are like, ooh, damn, I've been around the ringer quite a few times this year. I've done it myself. But I've had people there by my side. I haven't been completely alone. Let me feel into what it's like to recognize the love that's already here for me. Whether it's the people whether it's the people you run into on the street, whether it's, your landlord or, the person you greet at the coffee shop every morning. You still are held through all of it, and I think that a lot of the times we turn away from what we have, because, it's also natural for us to constantly seek and want more, and we're conditioned right now in this time and space. It's quite interesting because we are overstimulated, and it's oversaturated with product, with people and things, and it's easy to get lost in the narrative in that way and kind of forget that you are all that you need. This life force, your heart beating, and it sounds really fucking cheesy, I get it, but it's true. So another undercurrent of this time is like this very primal love, this very maternal and intimate and just delicate love. And I think maybe themes of lack may be coming up because Sagittarius is fast. Sometimes you can't hold on to it, and sometimes you feel like maybe at the moment you don't feel like you can keep up with the world or where we're going or all of these transits in this time. And I think Venus in Cancer gives it that delicate, wait, bring it back, there's already love in your life. You don't need to go seeking everywhere else but yourself. It's actually you. And that's, it's you, You decide how much you get to give yourself, which is scary also. So, Sagittarius is about truth. it's really like a truth teller. Like there's no bullshit with Sagittarius. Either with Jupiter, I think it's like, as much as it's about manifestation, luck, abundance, like whatever it touches, it expands. So if it's touching you and there are these like insecurities, this discomfort, this fear that comes out, it's like, it doesn't lie. It just does, you know? In that way, it's very true. So I want to read you this because I had forgotten that like I low-key felt this deeply. And I think we forget that we carry such special places within ourselves. And in the hustle and the bustle and the rush and the needing to catch up, the needing to be in a new chapter, the needing to let go, like we forget that, wait, where are we right now? Can we just do it at our own time? So as much as I'm talking about, you know, the pace right now and like have been the past couple weeks, maybe let's take a breath and remember why we are doing this. Remember why we want better for ourselves, or why we're on the path to accepting ourselves or creating things or loving ourselves more deeply. Let me read this. And I felt him melt into me as he kissed me as painfully and childishly as he did. Already getting into it. The monologue of a broken heart, I'd call it, and I'll show the gods and the stars, and you'll write till the last inch of your song is sung and every last inch of your breath is gone. It's naive and blunt, but to love, my God, what I would do to ask him about his softness again. Why his heart was so profusely full, but all he could do was hurt. Love is to leave it at the hands of what I can't demand. I'll love and I'll choose it again, to laugh and to giggle at the slight pressure of his hands. Was it love or was it a lustful trance? To love is to decide, to lust is to desire. And God, did I decide to meet him behind the bridge, bikes laying on the gravel, too timid to tell each other with those beating, lustful eyes, telling nothing but lies. The love I felt came as no surprise. So I didn't read you all of it, but I kind of read snippets. So I wrote that like a while after I was 16. I'm not going to tell you the age because it'll tell you how long it took me to get over this boy. But I think it's important to remember the soft parts of ourselves. I think Jupiter, I think the Sagittarius in intensity and just desire, and just abundance and overflow, paired with this Venus in Cancer. It's very delicate, like we're overflowing, the cups are becoming full, and they should become full. Let them become full. Why not? So it can overflow into every area of your life. I think also when I think of a runway show, Paco Rabanne, Spring Summer 2024, and I think about kind of these space age silhouettes of like Pierre Cardin and like Courage. At the same time, you know, there was a moon landing. People were dressing for this kind of like boost in economy, boost in design and technology, and people were kind of embodying the times, you know. The silhouettes for women were more playful. They didn't necessarily have to wear heels or corsets. It was kind of like, you know, maybe a little bit interesting and loose fitting. You know, there was more play on the clothing, and I think also right now, I think maybe it could correlate to maximalism coming back, because it's like we're seeing a little bit more play in clothing, and we're seeing perhaps modular clothing, playing with the silhouettes, allowing one single garment to facilitate different functions. We're seeing colors, neons really in right now, kind of wearing things that are chuggy but making them work, like flip-flops. Those have kind of been slowly coming back. I think we can also see like playing on really big shapes, like exaggerating buttons and accessories and editorials. And I think it could cater to the rapid change in technology, you know, allowing ourselves to kind of dream about a utopia, an idealized version of our current state. I think that the color, the exaggeration, the allowing for play in clothing was similar to, you know, the 60s. It was similar to that space age wave. You know, economy was starting up, you know, first moon landing. We want to believe in things, and why not? And I think, you know, Rabanne with these kind of like almost like priestess. I mention it all the time, it's my favorite archetype, but you know, it's this kind of like space age, very elegant and slick warrior. It's like these freedom fighters that are here to kind of, you know, declare a new wave of style, a new wave of belief, declare a new age. You know, it's a new time, let's wrap it up, the old's gone. Yeah, so I kind of see those two times correlate, and I see that for this full moon where it's like I'm really feeling this like space age, new wave, new design, colors, modular design kind of coming back. So yeah, let me know what you think. The rest of it I speak on my Substack. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in another one. I'll be here. There's nowhere else for me to go but here.